What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? This is the LTG Mobile Moments. I'm your host, Tony Hannities, and thank you very much for joining me this evening. I just got back from the gym, hence my attire, so I apologize if you feel any kind of offense, but check out these guns. No, seriously. Tonight, we have a couple of topics that I do want to touch on regarding Google, iOS, and the first thing I really want to touch on is something that came out of Google today regarding their patent purchase promotion. Now, Google has announced that between May 8th to May 22nd, you can submit your patent to Google, and if they choose that they want to dive into it a little bit deeper, they will be reviewing the patents up until June 26th when they attempt to contact you as the patent holder and request for more information and possibly buying the patent directly from you. This is actually a really good idea for Google and for their patent lawyers. Instead of having to deal with patent trolls and everything, go directly to the source of the people that are creating the patents. And if you have a patent that Google might be interested in, you might be getting a pretty good payout from them. Now, Google does go on in stating that they are hoping that this would obviously increase their patent portfolio. Up until now, if it wasn't for the Motorola buyout, they wouldn't have a lot of patents under the belt. But the thing is, they also want to make sure that this is all on the up and up. So they have even lined out that there is some fine print that you absolutely want to make sure you fully understand before participating, and they do encourage that participants speak with an attorney before they decide to agree to any kind of terms. So they're kind of covering their asses, so to speak. But for the most part, if you are in the position to want to sell a patent, and instead of going to a patent troll or anything like that, having Google buy it, whether they actually use it or not, they probably have a lot more clout than a patent troll. But the other thing is, during this time frame of you being in talks with Google, so to speak, between May and June, you can't try to sell your patent to anybody else. So it's not going to be a bidding war. You can't go to Google and say, here's my patent, and during that time, go to somebody else and say, here's my patent as well too. And you couldn't say to Google, oh, okay, well, Joe's Patents wants to buy my patent for $13 million. What are you going to offer me? They're very clear cut in saying during this time, it is us and us alone. So that's probably a good move as well too. So it's interesting that at this point we are okay with this. If another company like Microsoft were to do something like this maybe a few years ago, people would have been, calling like IP clamoring, or they would be saying that it's a bad thing. But for whatever reason, because it's Google, I haven't really seen any kind of negative connotation on it, really, because Google is very forthright about what they're attempting to do. Now, you as the patent holder can decide how much that they would be buying it for, so if they agree to those terms, then you've just made a few $1,000,000 off of it. So good for Google for doing this. I'm very excited to see what is going to be coming out of it. But until then, I guess we'll just have to wait. Moving on to some app news. If you're an Instagram addict, as I am, Instagram is updating their application for both iOS and Android to include 3 new filters called Juno, Reyes, and Lark. They're more like lightning features. So if you like your pictures to be more light, you'll have different gradients of light filters. But more importantly, I would say you can now hashtag emojis. Now, I don't know how many people really need to hashtag emojis, but I guess it kind of makes sense if you had an emoji that had, or rather had a hashtag that had a really long name, and it would be a lot easier to just put a happy face or a picture of some dog crap on there or something. That would be a lot better. The problem that I have with this is that although they are updating it between iOS and Android, as you guys probably know, emojis between iOS and Android are not compliant all the time. So on iOS, you might get a hashtag picture of a girl, a dress, and I don't know, a martini drink. And then on the Android side, you might get a picture of a guy with pants and a beer. And it just might not have the same effect all the way around, unless Instagram has their own integrated emojis list that you can use from them, but I don't really see that that is currently the case. In any event, I have yet to receive the update on my Nexus 6, but when it does come, best believe I'm going to be giving it a full go when it comes to my platform. Also from Facebook, they have announced that they are introducing video calling in Messenger. Now, video calling isn't new to Facebook. In fact, they had an agreement with Skype early 2012, if I'm not mistaken, where Skype would be the backbone for desktop to desktop Facebook chatting would be going through the Skype servers and things of that nature. It seems as such that Facebook has dissolved that agreement with Skype, and now they're using their own technology and their own servers, which between 2012 to now, they obviously have the money and capability to do so. And so if you are on Messenger, iOS or Android, unfortunately no Windows Phone or BlackBerry at the moment, but if you're on iOS or Android, you can Facebook message and do free video calling, and it would either cost you data if you're over your data connection, or just be over Wi-Fi. And depending on what kind of connection you're on, it'll either increase or decrease the quality of the video. So hopefully you won't completely overhaul your data plan if you have a fairly low cap. And the nice thing too is that, well, it's just going to make it that much easier to visually be connected to your friends and family. Now, right now, the problem is that this is only between mobile and mobile. You can do desktop to desktop video calling, but you can't do desktop to mobile or mobile to desktop calling. So they're going to bridge that gap eventually. But until then, if you've ever wanted to video chat somebody and they're on an iPhone and you don't have iMessage or something like that and you have Android, now you have the ability to do that through Facebook. Having a cross-platform video chat capability is really important. And there are other options out there. Obviously, there is Skype. There is Google Hangouts. And, to a certain degree, there's Snapchat, although it's not live. It's a recording. But Facebook is doing things within their messaging platform, as they mentioned at F8, that they want to be more of a platform instead of just an application. And they're making Facebook a lot more stickier than it's ever been. I mean, I can't tell you how much in the past, I've really wanted to disassociate myself with Facebook because it just became noise. I didn't want to deal with it. I really much prefer Google Plus and Twitter, but they just keep reining me back in with really great updates and really great features, and then just, so this is a really nice turn of events, and I hope soon that the mobile to desktop free video calling will be a reality soon. Until then, give it a shot. Do the update on your Facebook Messenger app if you have it downloaded, and let us know what you think about it. Comments at lazytechguys.com. Now, when it comes to Apple Pay, first off, they recently, and I'll be talking about Apple in just a moment with regards to their quarterly earnings, which were spectacular. But when it comes to Apple Pay, they just announced that they have opened up the gateway for you Discover card owners. So I guess up until now, if you had a Discover card, you couldn't use that with Apple Pay. Now you can. So that's a great set of news. But also, the major retailer Best Buy has announced that they will have Apple Pay support in their in-app and retail stores later on this fall. When Apple Pay was first announced, Best Buy said that they would not be on board. And this probably has to do with the fact that, well, they want to be able to, get the credit card information. And with Apple Pay, you don't really have that ability. But if Best Buy can really improve their rewards card membership, like more benefits as to becoming a rewards member, then there's really no problem there. They can still track their customers' purchase habits and things of that nature. So if you've ever want to use Apple Pay on your phone or your new Apple Watch in Best Buy, you will be able to do that very soon. Well, probably in the next 6 months or so. So that's really great information and really great news. Now, as I mentioned, Apple had their quarterly earnings today, and to no surprise, they are doing spectacular. They sold 61.1 million iPhones in the first 3 months of 2015. That is a uh, revenue of a total revenue of $51.2 billion, which is, I don't even know what I would do with that much amount of money. I'd probably give it back to charity and improve school systems because we need it. But a lot of people were wondering, like, how is the Chinese market factoring into this? Well, according to Tim Cook, um, China's expanding middle class is actually fueling iPhone sales, which is interesting because up until now, China has been the predominant market for iPhone knockoffs. I mean, if you look at Xiaomi and some of the phones from Huawei and things like that, they have a lot of characteristics that are mimicking and echoing that of which that iPhone really has made popular. But now that iPhone is available, legally in China, seems that people are saving their money a little bit more because Xiaomi phones are a lot cheaper than iPhones. But the middle class seems to want to put their money into the real deal, so to speak. So uh, Wall Street Wall Street shared that the the actual price went up 1.6% in after-hours trading to $134.52. And I mean, all this information is up 40% from the year ago quarter, and their iPad sales are still down 23% from a year ago, and that really is just because everyone that wants an iPad Mini or whatever is looking at the iPhone 6 Plus. Why would I need an iPad Mini when I pretty much have almost the same real estate on a phone, and I get everything else that I need in just this one device? So that makes perfect sense. There's no real information about Apple Watch, but all Apple said is it's off to an exciting start. So that's some great news too. Now we do unfortunately have to end on a somber note. If you have a Galaxy S6 or S6 Edge from Samsung, you might have noticed that OK Google has been removed. Now what I mean by that is, if I've set off the device, I apologize. But what I mean by that is, up till now, if you have enabled the feature where you can just have your phone even with the screen off, or if you're in any kind of application, you can say OK Google, or whatever the phrase is, sorry, and it would do a Google Now search. And now I guess Samsung has done kind of a under the hood update where people had to do the update, and they removed that functionality. The only way to enable the OK Google is to actually be in the actual Google Now card setting, and then you would use the voice command, which kind of defeats the whole purpose. Now, people have reached out to Samsung, and Samsung they have stated that since the update to after the update to Lollipop, they've actually removed the OK Google capability, and they haven't said why. Obviously, they want us to use the S voice versus OK Google, but there was a comment on the Fandroid article stating that the only way to re-enable Google Now Always On is to disable S Voice by going to the Settings Application Manager S Voice and completely disabling it. Then it'll show up as turned off in the Application Manager. Then after you do that, go to the Google search and open up Settings, Voice, OK Google detection, and then set up the Google Now Always On. There was also a comment from somebody about an hour ago that said this didn't work. So I guess it's a case-by-case scenario. This is really dumb. I guess it's Samsung's device. They can do whatever the heck that they want, but it's just really kind of a poor move on their part. But the fact of the matter is, not many people use S Voice. I mean, I guess if you are in South Korea, you might, because that is maybe something that you're used to. But if you're an Android user and you've been using OK Google for all this time, even if you're in South Korea, you've been using OK Google or whatever the Korean equivalent might be. The fact that they've pretty much blocked it, and if you're not a person of know-how to turn it off and how to turn it back on, rather, this kind of puts throws a wrench in your whole kind of day-to-day use of the device. So hopefully they don't expand this to other devices. It seems to only be hitting the S6 and the S6 Edge. This person that made this comment said that this happened after their Lollipop update on their Galaxy Note 4 on Sprint. So just keep an eye out, see if there's any other devices that this has been happening to. But it's kind of a shame. I hope that Samsung doubles back and says, okay, we'll turn off the or rather turn on Google Now detection. But I don't know. Samsung had a lot going for them. They had an awesome phone. They had a much lighter TouchWiz. People are really loving it, and then they go ahead and do this. So, not really good for Samsung's sake. So that's pretty much it. I do want to touch on the new application that came out from Facebook called Hello, which is basically the new dialer app for Android. And if you haven't tried it out, basically what it allows you to do, it allows you to replace the standard dialer app that is on your phone. So right now I have a Nexus 6, and I no longer use, for the time being, I no longer use the Google dialer app. And what I like about it is that it does mirror the Google dialer app a lot. I mean, it's very material design looking. Right from the, I don't want to show people, but right from the home screen of the dialer app, you can search for people, you can search for places. It does a lookup of the places around you. So recently I was in a different town, and we were looking for places to do my son's birthday party, and I looked for Round Table Pizza, and it pulled up all the Round Table Pizzas and their phone numbers that were surrounding me. And I mean, that was really easy. Even had the name of the town. Plus, when somebody called me and I wasn't aware of who they were, because they were already one of my friends on Facebook, it showed up with their face. Took a second to do that, but it showed up with their name and their face. So I was like, oh, I don't have your number, now I do. So that's pretty cool. And I have a lot of solicitors calling me for let's just say credit cards. Well, yeah, credit cards. And so I used to use a block feature from Verizon. And the problem with the block feature from Verizon is that it only blocks it for a certain amount of time. It doesn't block it forever. And so then I was using the Google Voice blocking, because I forward all my voicemails to my Google Voice, because Google Voice does the free voice translation and dictation and readout. But then I still get the phone calls. I block them from being able to leave a voicemail, but I still get the phone calls. And then on my Galaxy Note 4, I was able to block it right from the system. But on my Nexus 6, I don't have the ability to block it from the system. But because I'm using the Facebook Dialer app, I do. And the nice thing about it is basically crowdsourced numbers that are being blocked. So if one particular number has been blocked by a myriad of people, now you too can kind of say, okay, let's block, this number also should be blocked, and so should this number. So a lot less calls from telemarketers, creditors, whoever is trying to contact you, people with subpoenas, I don't know. But this is, for what it is, like I said earlier, with Messenger and Instagram, Facebook, it's so sticky. As much as I want to let it go, it just reels me back in with pretty cool features and updates. So that's pretty much it. All right, that's it for me tonight. I just want to keep it short and sweet. I'm going to be on Twits All About Android tomorrow at 5 Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. And you can watch that live at live.twit.tv. So if you want to learn more about Android news, that's the place to go. That's the #1 Android podcast in the world. That's pretty freaking awesome, and I'm going to be on it for, I believe, the 4th time. So yeah, I'm definitely very honored. Hopefully I bring it to the table, and my app pick for that is going to be something very epic. At least I think it's epic. I think it's pretty cool. I'm a big fan of the franchise. So that's it for me tonight. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave it at comments@lazytechguys.com. Follow us at lazytechguys.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, everything pretty much you can think of. And you can follow me on Google plus Tony Handy's. Follow me on Twitter right here, LTG Tony. And I will be happy to talk to you or answer any questions that you might have or have not have. And I don't know what I have. So have a good night. I'm going to go eat because I need protein. Gains. Have a good night. Bye.